that must be a great feeling. Can you sum up your feelings?
I'm just really happy on a number of levels. Really happy for the players who have committed to everything that we've asked from them, Ian. And this time last year, I think we got knocked out by Bradford in an earlier round. What were a very obviously difficult week, as I remember, and difficult day for the club. And in terms of pulling together, when everybody wants to give you a good kick in, we stuck together, mate. And at the moment, we're in a Challenge Cup final, currently in the top four, and I can't pay tribute enough to our players for the commitment they've shown to each other, and internally, to the club and as coaching staff, for how hard we've worked to try and turn it around. And I think it's fair to say we're doing that at the moment.
Kicking game was crucial, wasn't it? And was that a perfection in wet weather rugby? Yeah,
I think so. I think it's two strands to that, Ian. Too. I think we had I've got a really big rating on Wigan as a team. I think got some dangerous players, and defensively, mate, I think they've aimed up. For the bulk of the season, they've aimed up really, really well. So we thought they'd be a tough team to break down, but we did have a bit of a game plan, and looking at the long-term forecast for the weather, we sort of knew this might be on its way. But either way, we felt that we had some parts of our tactical planning, that whether if the weather was wet or not, it wouldn't really change too much what we do. We still felt that despite difficult conditions, there'd be points in the game we would have to pass the ball and move them around a bit. And I thought in the first half we did it magnificently, mate. I thought we rolled down the pitch, executed as kick plan real well, chased and gave ourselves field position. If you give yourself field position, you've always got a chance of coming up with one or two tries. But I thought as ability to take the chances when they come, again, were excellent. I thought our halves, our spine did a terrific job today, and were manfully backed up by a forward pack that probably, apart from the last 5 minutes, looked like they could have defended all day.
Richard, can you just put it into words what it means to take Leeds Rhinos, what massive club, to take them to a Challenge Cup final? What does it mean to you personally?
Yeah, I'm really proud. I'm really proud, obviously, to coach this famous club. Probably got the job by accident, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, the way it all came about. But yeah, on a personal level, it's been written about a lot of times. Challenge Cup holds a lot of fondness and memories for me, and very personal memories too, going back to obviously my childhood. I've been very, very fortunate enough to experience Challenge Cup finals through my coaching career. So for me personally, yeah, I'm just I'm just over the moon. But I'm more pleased for the players, mate. I'm more pleased for the players in terms of the way I feel they've believed in each other, supported each other, rode out some difficult days, and always stuck together. So a couple of people I'm thinking about today too. I'm thinking about Rob Burrows. I'm thinking about Harry Newman. I'd like to sort of dedicate that performance to them. Harry's come over on his sticks today, and while it'll really hurt him not being part of the Challenge Cup final team, I think I'd like to sort of dedicate our performance to those two blokes, who one of them were here and one of them would have been at home watching.
Yeah, I think you went over to Harry at the end, didn't you, to basically embrace with him?
Yeah, I did. And that if there's one thing I am proud of, I'm proud of the spirit that we've developed internally. I think as a football team, I keep saying it, challenging the benchmark teams time after time, and Leeds should do too. Leeds should be in one of those teams itself, but in the next part of our progression, that's what we've got to do. But I'm really proud of the of the spirit and the good guys that exist within this team.
Just a final one, please, Richard. You remember that dark day at Odsal last May?
Yeah.
How dramatic has the transformation been during the last year and a bit?
Ross, this might sound, it probably wasn't as dark a day for me as it was for a lot of people. I certainly didn't feel individually too tainted by the club had a couple of difficult years back to back. I didn't feel too like I was carrying too much baggage from it myself personally. It was just that game and the game after, I guess, a realisation from myself that, a different style of training or a couple of different drills or different game plans wasn't really going to fix this. This were some fundamental changes to, I guess, the way we just operated as a club, and the way that we respected each other and understand why we turned up to work every day. So we had to, I guess, take a bit of a risk at the time and dial back a little bit and forget about game plans and just concentrate on what are fundamental core values of rugby league and its players. And I think our guys have embraced that. As I say, we've had some setbacks along the way, but they've never let it derail them too much. We sort of sticking to the journey we were on, and we're going to enjoy it. And I'm really pleased. We've got some young players that are going to experience a really big game. We've got some guys that are over here, having left their families during the COVID situation, which is very, very difficult. We've got two halfbacks who are, over 30 that have played for a long time and both wonderful blokes and really deserving of getting a chance to experience a game like this. So we got a multitude of reasons that, I didn't think motivation was going to be an issue for us today. I thought it was just about executing what we practiced, and we practiced really well all week.
Richard, Martin Sadley here. How are you doing, mate? You must be very happy.
Yeah, I am, Martin. I am. You come off the field and you got all that whirl of emotions going on, and a lot of stuff going through your head. And I guess I watched the last 5 minutes. We defended brilliant and we conceded 2 tries. So I'm sort of
bring you down to earth a bit.
No, I'll not go too hard on the players, mate, because I thought 26-0 with 10 minutes to go in such a difficult day to play, because it was, mate, and the conditions probably took away some elements of Wigan's quality. I felt at times today. Having said that, I thought we executed what we wanted to a T, really.
I've got to say, Richard, I can't remember the last time that Leeds played Wigan and were so absolutely dominant, because you absolutely did dominate throughout the game. I think there was a statistic, that Wigan had virtually no play the balls in your 20, or very few. Were you surprised that you were quite as dominant as you were?
Well, I said to our boys before the game, I think we can keep this team to 0 today, and that wasn't a motivational key. I felt the weather, if we executed what we wanted to, and I felt the weather would play a part. I genuinely seen us defending the wet very, very well, Martin. I actually thought the conditions perhaps could suit us a little bit more than Wigan. When you got to play like Bevan French and the style he plays, it goes without saying, mate, that this is going to take a little bit away from him. So, we did believe we could put out there a really strong defensive play, but as is always, and a little bit in semi-finals, sometimes field position and possession count for an awful lot in these games, and I thought we played that element of the game superbly, really.
I thought when Luke kicked that fairly early 40-20, you just sensed it was going to be his day, and obviously it was. I mean, would you say that's possibly the best game that Luke has had for Leeds?
Well, I'm going to go back to early in the year, Martin, and just a little bit about us. We played Warrington at home, and Warrington, obviously, one of the more fancied teams in the comp, and we did a similar job on Warrington that day. But then, after COVID, Wigan beat us, but Saints put the cleaners through us, and I think, internally, we understand. We find some reasons why that performance happened, and sometimes the outside noise grows very loud on the back of one performance. But I think for us, it's, understanding what works for us, understanding why performances like that happens, and just trying to get better week in, week out. So, at the time, sometimes you hit a bump in the road and it'd be quite alarming, but most teams go through that anyway. And as I said, mate, I think we're on a journey to try and re-establish Leeds as a dominant force in the game, and we do think we've got some young players that have got got a lot of time in front of them. But having said that, when you come to big games like this, you do get in a window, and we're in a window with two half-backs that really know how to play the game.
Final question from me, though, Richard. You're going to be at Wembley in 2 weeks. How weird will it be playing at Wembley with no crowd there?
Yeah, it'll be unique. You know, Jamie Jones can see, get excited about the uniqueness of it. I guess from my point of view, look, it's a phrase everybody's using. It is what it is. But I'd be slightly disappointed that, some of our guys and some of the guys that I've talked about, whether they be the young guys or the Australian guys, they don't get that journey into the stadium. They don't get the walking down the tunnel where there's, I was going to say 100,000 people, but the crowds aren't like that at Wembley anymore, are they? They are going to miss out on that, mate. And they are sort of really special moments that you can keep with you for the rest of the life. So undoubtedly it's going to be different. Look, Martin, it's not going to dampen our experience, and it's not going to dampen our desire to win the competition. But at the same time, yeah, it is a bit of a shame that they're not going to experience that because they are so hard to get to. Finals are really hard to get to, mate.
Thanks, Richard.
Cheers, thank you.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Pete.
Congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
We missed the start of what you were saying, unfortunately. How good a performance in wet weather conditions was that, particularly in the first half? I don't think you made an error.
No, in terms of the conditions, we did. We felt we knew what we wanted to do, and I thought we executed it to a T. It were really important, Pete, that we needed to pass the ball at times too. We just didn't want to play high completion and kick chase. We felt there were times we needed to, perhaps move Wigan about and have the confidence to pass the ball in the wet, mate. And we didn't want to get down their end and dominate field position without having a shot at them too. Because, 2 scores in conditions like this can be, you chip away at the scoreboard, and scoreboard pressure can make the opposition play in a little bit of a different way. And I thought we saw that towards the end of the first half. I thought as we got sort of 2 or 3 scores up, they probably had to play some plays that, in all honesty, weren't right, from a situational point of view, weren't right at that time. But, with the game and the scoreboard putting different pressures on them, it enabled us to, put a bit of pressure on them defensively too.
Considering where the club's been over the last few years and where it was when you took over, how much does it mean to be in this Challenge Cup final, to be back on the big stage?
It's fantastic. Look, Leeds, like Wigan and Saints, Leeds are expected to be one of the 3 or 4 clubs that are challenging and dominating. The period that the club has been through has obviously been well documented. I weren't around for too much of that, Pete, so it's difficult for me to talk about, the whys and what fors. What I know is that, when we got beat by Bradford last year, as I said to the guys, we felt, probably not a rebuild, but we felt we had to re-establish a culture that had just lost its way a little bit. It just lost its way. So that was our first port of call, and I'm very, very lucky that I've got a bunch of guys that sort of buy into the cultural aspect of us.
Thanks, Richard. Well done.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Can we knock it off there, folks? Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
I'll try and get everything through.